Andy, aren't you supposed to be working on your big video project?
Yeah, but I'm working all day and I'm kind of tired right now. Just doing a little bit of leveling.
Alright. Make sure you get it done, though. You don't have all that much time anymore.
What have I been doing since college? No, I mean, what have I done to prepare for my future? 2 years ago, I applied for the UCSD EDS graduate program. And I didn't make it in. Rejection was hard, but I thought this was the perfect time for me to see whether or not I had the guts to become a real teacher. So, instead of being in a program, I decided that I was going to go out and get more experience in the teaching field. I became a substitute out in Oklahoma. Now that was a very, very hard year. Being a sub was like being a teacher with all the responsibilities and none of the answers. Students often ask, why do we have to do this? And while it was easy to answer when the lessons were my own, I stumbled when trying to find other teachers' rationale. I felt overwhelmed. Was I cut out to be a teacher? I mean, if I can't even handle subbing and tutoring, how am I supposed to handle a full class of my own? In World of Warcraft, when a character falls in battle, they can either run back to their body and continue where they left off, or they can take the spirit resurrection and run away from the fight. Several times I was tempted to take the spirit res, but the more graveyard runs I did, the less I felt its necessity. The year went on and I grew as a professional, and along the way I picked up some pretty sweet gear. As the number of graveyard runs declined, I felt myself growing confident in my abilities. I felt ready to go back to school and learn more about what it meant to be a
Andy, you're still playing. You really need to start working.
Alright.
March rolled around. It was 1 year later, and after having finished my first job as an adult out in the real world, I was once again looking to join an education studies program. Even though subbing was hard, I felt I was more prepared and now more determined than ever to join fellow educators at heart in the ranks of the teaching profession. But joining a program is a lot like choosing a guild. Do I want a small guild with a prestigious name that can help me access new content? Or do I want a large guild with lots of supporting groups, but accessibility to new content may have been limited? Because of my undergraduate experience at EDS, I decided the small guild was right for me, so I reapplied for the graduate program at UCSD. This time around, I was accepted. I felt so accomplished receiving both my letters of acceptance and news I would be an intern the following year. To me, getting into the program felt a lot like reaching level 80, which is the level cap in World of Warcraft. I gained a lot of experience by now and in my mind grasped much of what I would consider the basics of teaching. Summer classes were tough, but they were like running pre-raid dungeons, a necessity to gain both experience in the raid environment, learning how to make content accessible, and new gear, the tools that would make me a more effective teacher. I finally received a placement in October 2009. Even though I was later than most of my cohort, I finally got in. I'm in a raid. Subsequently, I started to wipe. Wiping is defined as getting owned by the instance, and the classroom totally owned me. My first week was exhausting, and I had to play catch-up because of my late start in the school year. Plans for teaching my lessons had to be quickly written, and I didn't know what I would be teaching until I got in. I never really did get caught up. The good news is, I didn't give up. Every time I entered the classroom, it was like getting further attempts at a raid. To prepare for each time I raided, taught a class, I had to gather new materials, contact parents, and learn new strategies to help differentiate for my students. Slowly but surely, I was getting better at my job. I was building the right connections, getting the right tools, and reaching a lot of my students. By the end of the year, I felt more than proficient as a teacher. In WoW terms, it was like having a raid on farm. With the help of the guildmaster and class leaders at UCSD, as well as my fellow raiders, especially Katie and Paul who have been with me the entire year, I feel that I am ready to go out and find myself some new content, have some new adventures, and hopefully call a classroom my own.
So. Here, take a look.